Welcome to another video tutorial with NonBot, the prompt pioneers in generative AI. Today, we're going to show you how to create custom GPTs that combine your instructions and documents with ChatGPT's base model. And this process is called fine-tuning. You can share these with friends, colleagues, or add them to the upcoming GPT store. You only need to tell ChatGPT what you would like the bot to do, and ChatGPT will actually write the code needed to create and run this new bot. So let's dive in and unlock the full potential of OpenAI's new custom GPTs. So as you can see here, I just have a standard browser window and I've opened it to OpenAI's ChatGPT. At the time of this recording, 4 is the latest model, and custom GPTs were released a couple weeks ago. So up on the top left, we see this new tab and a little bit of a new UI that just says Explore. So when we click that, we can see at the top, this is where we're going to create our custom GPT, which is still in beta. And then down at the bottom, it's been preloaded with a bunch of examples created by OpenAI to show some of the output functionality once a GPT has been customized. So what we do here is we click on Create a Custom GPT. Excellent. So you notice in this interface, there's the name of your GPT up top. It's a draft. It just says new. There's no logo for it yet. The Save button has been grayed out because the name cannot be empty. And then down in the primary pane here, we have a very similar, familiar ChatGPT interface, where we can upload files and do things like that. But then we have this extra Configure tab. And Configure is where you can enter some of the settings manually. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually use ChatGPT on this left-hand side to do this all for you. And you'll start to see how that comes together. Then, as you're ready, you will be getting previews loaded on the right-hand side so that you can interact with your custom GPT and start to see how it functions and find issues with it. And that really helps with the later fine-tuning of these custom GPTs is if it's reacting in a way that you wouldn't expect for whatever type of GPT you're building, you can use that interaction to further refine it on the left-hand side and make it better. I think in most cases of the custom GPTs that we've built to date, they've taken about an hour to an hour and a half to fully create them and work out some of the kinks. The one thing that we did find, though, is that the longer that you work with it, the amnesia starts to set in to ChatGPT, and we see that in GPT-4 as well as 3.5. And really what that amnesia is it starts to forget the early parts of the conversation, both the inputs and the outputs. So you need to be really thoughtful as you build your custom GPT and make sure that you're prepared going into it. Like what we've done today is we've actually created a long prompt that we're going to use for the core of this. But to get started, let's just start to type here. So what we want to create today is we're going to create a multilingual translation tool that's going to help marketing, advertisers, business people create translations of their copy. So you can see GPT Builder is going to start working here for us as we've told it exactly what we want to make. And the status bar is nice within the wrench, but sometimes ChatGPT can definitely be a little slower as it's in this beta tool. So just be patient with it. All right, so now we have a response from it, and it's saying great choice. A multilingual translation tool can be incredibly useful. Translation tool can be incredibly useful. Now let's give it a name. How about Lingua Bridge? Does that name work for you, or do you have another one in mind? Please give me 5 more options for the name, because I don't really like Lingua Bridge. So, and I think depending on your experience with ChatGPT, you may or may not be comfortable prompt engineering, but one of the things that you can learn is there's a lot of different ways to get the help from ChatGPT that it's asking from you. And so a lot of times I will just ask it to do what it has just asked me to do and make my life a little bit easier. Ooh, I like number 2. So we're going to go with number 2, Babel Beacon. Perfect. And then what should happen is up on the top left, new GPT should change to Babel Beacon. And really what ChatGPT is doing right now is it's just trying to configure the base settings for this custom GPT, which live in this configure tab. So you can either click here and manually do it, or you can have ChatGPT walk you through it like we're doing right now. Excellent. Now they've gone ahead and created a profile picture for Babel Beacon without me asking, again, because it is walking through a sequence of directions to try to get the base elements for the custom GPT, which is a name and an icon going before we do anything else. And I don't mind that one, but I might ask it to do something else. Let's try something a little more classic. And it didn't let me enter that because it's still generating. Now what's interesting here is you can see that ChatGPT has actually failed itself. It has asked for input, yet it kept working. And now it's going to give me some more directions here. Okay, so it's saying it's currently set up as a friendly translation assistant for various languages, focusing on everyday language transition and avoiding highly technical or offensive content. Is there any specific type of translation or additional functionality you'd like to discuss? So this is where I'm going to have it step back, and I'm going to say, let's step back to the profile pic and try to generate something more classic. And it's going to regenerate that profile picture for me. And the reason I'm going to do that now is because I don't want ChatGPT to drift too much within the conversation. And that's what you'll find is ChatGPT is hyper-focused on the last prompt that you enter. So if you're working down a set trail or specific items that you need to get through and you don't step back, it might be too late by the time you get there, and it's going to start to forget that you were already there, and we call that drifting. And it starts to just drift in the direction of the last prompt. So I'm going to take a step back. And I don't love this one, but yes, let's use this. And we'll just do that for the purpose of today's video. We want to try to keep it under 10 minutes as always. All right, so it's used that. And now you can see on the right-hand side, we see the icon, we see Babel Beacon, and we're starting to see more of a previewed interface that we're used to with ChatGPT, which is an icon, a name, and a few things that we can do with it. All these are customizable, and we can work through that. But while this is building, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy my long prompt, and I'm going to get this in here because that's the next step in what we're talking about. So we're just going to let this finish updating the GPT. And then we are going to go back and start to talk about the specific type of translation and functionality that we want this to focus on. And that's what we're going to drop in right here. And it's almost done. All right. Let's continue refining the goal. Think about the types of translations. And this is where a good long prompt comes in. This prompt probably took us 30 to 35 minutes to write. And of course, we used ChatGPT to help us write it. We had the idea, but we of course used ChatGPT to help flesh that out and make sure that we got all the elements of translation that a good engine should have. So we're going to go ahead and drop that long prompt in here now. And you can just see as I scroll through, there's quite a bit of detail. And basically what this is saying is that I want this to ask the user for specific things before it starts translating. Sure, you can just drop something in and say, translate from Spanish to English, but really to be useful in the business world or the educational world, we need to be very specific about the elements that the GPT is asking for, like the source material, the target language, making sure that it's not assuming that, understanding preferences for localization within context of regions, intended audience, is it for young people, old people, a technical audience, and all these things are really important to build a better custom GPT. Not that that's going to be used every single time, but it does have it in there, at least in its training and its fine tuning, to be able to ask these things to get a better output. And that's what you're going to find as you make your own GPT, is you are essentially fine tuning, you're training the model to be as good as you can be or as good as it can be for whatever you're trying to do, like translation. So by having things that we know about translation, and I've been in marketing and advertising for 25 years, by telling it you should be asking for these things, then a normal user doesn't have to be thinking about it. And that's really where the beauty of these custom GPTs comes in, is the subject matter expert can make something really good and really fine tune that benefits the user, even if they don't know what those elements need to be. All right, now it's telling us that Babel Beacon is now equipped to handle a wide range of translation and localization services, including collecting detailed information from users to ensure accuracy and appropriateness. It will ask for source material, target language, yada, yada, yada. And basically it's confirming back to me that it understood. ChatGPT is saying, I heard you. These are all the things that I'm going to start to ask for as people interface with this. After translating, it will verify if it works and possibly download the files. So the important thing to understand is, even though we're giving it very specific direction for like a business use case, it still will do simple translation. And I can do that like this over on this right-hand side. Oh, and the other thing that you notice too is these 4 boxes have been changing based on the nature of the custom GPT. So before, one of the examples was please translate good night into Spanish. And now you can see that it has a little bit more of a business spin with some of these things. But let's just show you how it works. And time to wrap up the video. And let's just say, please translate good night into Spanish. And it will still do this simple task, or it should. There we go. Buenas noches. Now, if we go back and do anything here, it will update for us on the right-hand side. So we're not going to add anything else. We're just going to say no for right now. Perfect. It's all set up and ready to work. And it's telling me that I can just use it on the playground on the right-hand side. So I need to translate some copy into German. And let's see how that handles it. Okay, it says please provide the copy that needs to be translated, and let me know if there's any other specific requirements or context I should be aware of, intended audience, and things like this. So it's not asking all the questions directly, but it is giving me the opportunity because it's been trained to do so. And there you go. It's going to translate that for me. There we go. And as usual, filled with some very long German words that make web design a nightmare, if you're familiar with that. Anyway, so that's done there, and we've really done a lot in a little bit of time. I did prepare the long prompt ahead of time, as you did see, but on the right-hand side, we're getting the desired output, and it is asking for certain things like intended audience or specific terminology and things like that to be more useful. So now I'll come up here and I'll save this, and we're going to save it publicly. Or I could do only me or only people with a link, and that's how you would share with friends or colleagues. But we're trying to put everything public, so we're going to go confirm on that. And again, if we were building this for broad distribution, we would absolutely be training it for almost an hour and not just the 10 minutes that we've been working. We'd put in different types of collateral. We'd make sure it's asking the questions. You really need to put it through the test before calling it a day. And now you can see your custom GPT is right here. So if you want to use ChatGPT as normal, you click here on the left, upper left. And then if you want to use your custom one, you put that here. You are also able to have these show up there as well, and that's just based on your usage. So if you use one of these, it will show up there as well. But this is how you get back to normal ChatGPT. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks.